Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
It is the Big Biz Show, live from the Lock 100 studios in sunny, beautiful Southern California. Hope everybody out there is having a terrific day, because we certainly are. I'm Costa, that's Mary Godwin, Greg Todoroff, and of course, Captain Finance himself.
Hello. Are you saving money for college?
Yes, I just saw this.
Have you started a 529 plan?
Yes,
you
I have one for each kid.
529 plan is a great vehicle to save money. However, Howie Font, our punktrepreneur, is here. I think he's here. I don't know if we have any graphics for him, but Howie is here to talk about it. Are you excited about this topic?
I am excited about this topic, and I've actually recently heard that 529s are maybe not so great as we thought they were. So I have lots of questions for you.
Can I ask you guys this?
You can ask us anything you want.
How much was your college tuition per year when you went to school? Do you remember? I went to San Diego State. I had a vocal music scholarship to a school that ran out, and I had to spend my last 2 years at SDSU, and I think it cost about $1,200 a year.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
I think it was like $150 a credit hour or something.
Yeah, exactly right.
Books
now
are more
it's
expensive.
$40,000.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is, what percentage better is our education, what they're teaching you now, than it's the same, right? Education is education, right? Now, of course, there's technology, there's new subjects, there's new, I'm sure there's social media classes, I'm sure there's more social classes that are necessary. But overall, the read and write and arithmetic and business management and BA comes down to about the same thing.
Right.
So if it's, let's say because of the technology, it's 25% better, okay? Should cost you $1,600 a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Versus $1,200.
Yeah.
It's costing now $40,000
for UCs.
For UC
and
schools.
Private schools are upwards of 80 to 90. I think NYU, which we were looking at for Lily, is over 100K.
Someone's got to pay that head football coach, guys.
Well, the advertising is, hey, Howie, are you a believer, like I am now, that you send the kids, because you're going to have kids someday, and you're going to have to make this decision. It's going to cost $500,000 a year by the time you have kids. But my suggestion now is go to the high school with ashtrays, junior college, for 2 years, get your undergrad done, and then go apply for a major school for the last 2 years. Would that be or has college just gone the way of the dodo in your mind? Is there a better way?
Listen, it's a little of both, but I definitely think that a lower and lower percentage of the population needs and is going to end up getting a undergraduate 4-year degree. You only need trade school for a lot of things. You only need an undergraduate, your AA degree you're talking about. And I know a lot of people that did that. I know that a lot of people that did that in Florida, the undergrads, the AA degrees, the community colleges are very cheap.
So when you graduated from Florida State, did you have guys that did the JC thing first and then went to Florida State for the last 2?
Yeah, there were a bunch of guys that showed up junior year and like, hey, I have a lot of money in my pocket. I haven't been wasting.
Yeah, exactly.
We're thinking about that option for real.
So the 529
There's nothing,
plan.
and by the way, I think stigma, it's important just to say, there's this social stigma around it, or they want the 4-year experience. I'm sorry, but it isn't anymore what it was. It's not Animal House. It's not worth a moderate little amount of debt. Like you were talking about, $11,000, Sully. If you took out loans for that, that's not crushing you. Yeah. But a 4-year party is not worth what debt is today.
Well, let's continue the conversation, because I want to talk about 529 accounts, and I also want to talk about federal loan interest rates. And then also about planning, because it's something that is front and center. And before we do that, let's say hello to the DTC over there, and apparently James East just getting off the golf course. Hey James, does that sound familiar?
It's 2 shows in a row. He's come in looking like Spalding from
he looks like a college professor.
There he is.
Yeah.
All right, more from Howie Font. We're going to talk about 529 plans coming up here. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. The power of compound interest and how important it is getting a pile, no matter how large, of savings together at the beginning of life can make a big difference. And look, since you're not sending them to college, might as well buy a new Tesla, right, Greg? Here's what a Tesla sounds like. Hold on a minute, let me see if I...
Hey, I'm Howie.
And I'm Devin.
One of the most important things to remember about investing is patience. It's easy to get caught up in market trends and feel pressured to act quickly, but a long-term approach is key.
Oh no, Tesla's up 10%, dude. I gotta buy. Buy.
Chasing after quick gains can lead to rash decisions. That's why it's crucial to remain calm and stick to your strategy.
Amazon's down, dude. Amazon's down. Should I sell? Howie, do I sell? Do I sell, Howie?
Market volatility is normal, and trying to time the market can be a dangerous game.
GameStop's up. I'm buying. GameStop's up, dude. GameStop's up. I'm buying.
As long as you stay calm and invest with a long-term mindset, you can ride out the ups and downs without losing your sanity.
I don't know about sanity, but I just lost everything else. You're watching The Big Biz Show.
Yes, you are. Right there is why we are all multi-millionaires, people. The Big Biz Show live from the Loft 100 studios, wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. Hope you're having a great day. Costa, Marybert, Godwin, Greg Todorov around the bar as usual. Behind the bar as usual, Sully. You know, Devin in that vignette there is why he makes the medium bucks. It's a long climb to the middle. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. So we're talking about 529 and college education. So when did you start this college education savings? Is it just recently? Did you wake up in a cold sweat 5 years ago? How did this all?
All of the above. I started one when they were really little, but I wasn't giving enough to them, and then I woke up.
Because you sort of just do it just to do it, but don't really. I don't need to look at college yet.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
15 years away from that.
And then a few years ago, I was like, oh wait, it's actually coming. It's imminent. It's happening, and I don't think I have I don't have enough to cover that much money.
Well, what about grants and such? What about is that a thing still? And obviously scholarships. Your daughters could certainly go on dance scholarships.
So there's academic scholarships, there's dance scholarships, there's all sorts of things. So they'll be looking at all that stuff. We're actually also applying for scholarships and grants. So we're doing all of the above. I'm sitting on webinars weekly about how to afford college.
Really?
And filling out the FAFSA, which opened up this week, which you're going to know about soon. Did you know about that? The FAFSA?
FAFSA is the parent plus loans and the student loans, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And the thing is, look at it, it's almost free money. Take advantage of that. As far as I'm You don't have to pay it for a long time. Listen, if cash flow is more important than your mother in life and in business. And if you cannot use your money and use somebody else's money, even if it's at a 1 or 2% interest rate, do it. Yep. And I would argue, that student loan's a pretty good game, if you have to. Now, at the same time, have you guys considered perhaps doing what Howie was talking about? Some of the kids at Florida State did, what people are talking about.
Absolutely.
In terms of, I'm going to send you over to Mike Costa College, otherwise known as Mira Costa College here, which has a feeder program into the UC system.
Or Gooder in
California, and they have them in 50 states.
Yep.
Is that something that now would that disappoint the girls?
I think it would be a disappointment because, as Howie alluded to, there is this feeling of
the college experience.
The college experience and the social pressure. But a lot of girls and students that my kids know have done that route and have worked.
Well, you're literally saving.
Right.
How much is it per semester? 40 grand per semester now, or per year now?
Per year, 40 to 100.
Okay, so you're saving 50 grand. You're saving 100,000, half on your college fees.
Right. Exactly right.
Howie, let's talk about 529 because undergraduate degrees. Federal loan interest rates have hit their highest rate since 2008, at 5.5%, which is still a pretty low interest rate if you look at the history of interest rates. But talk about that a little bit. Is it a good idea in your mind for 529 now, or are there other options?
Don't make me cry.
Well, the point Mary makes is so important, just evaluating actually what you're paying for. So everything I'm about to say comes with the caveat that, hey, I understand cash flow is more important than your mother. You don't want to sacrifice that. Not everyone is able. But I want to illustrate what you're allowed to do with the rules when you max them out and how the power of compound interest can set someone up if you're able to when they're born, for a long, long time. So getting into it, you're allowed to what's called front load your contributions to the 529. So if there are family members that wanted to get together and put a pile of cash together, you're allowed to do that. And the maximum $18,000 contribution to a 529 all of a sudden can be in 1 year 90 grand. Now, if you just put that 90 grand in and leave it alone for 18 years, How much do you guys think you have left if you put that money in the market?
78 more years.
A lot of years.
A lot of years.
It grows to $500,000 at a 10% compounding rate, and that would solve a lot of people's problem. Now, who has $90,000 lying around? But like I said, you can do smaller amounts. Now, the other thing is, well, what if they don't go to college? What if they still want to do a 2-year degree? Well, if they don't end up using it, and we'll take the extreme scenario and say they don't use it at all. So now they have this, at 18, they have this $500,000. At 60, that $500,000 has compounded. It's now $27.4 million.
Yeah.
So that can show you how useful it is to start soon and don't touch it.
Which I didn't.
Right.
So that's great news. Thanks for bringing that up. One more day we've been over it, Howie. Perfect. So what do you do now, though? I'm going to put you on the spot here, but maybe next time we can talk about what you do if you didn't do, right? If you didn't put it together.
Like, what do I?
And I'm thinking, grants, right? I mean, you got little kids. You got little kids.
Well, here's my question. So if I lock up this money in this 529, does it need the educational trigger in order to get it out?
Yeah.
Right?
And if you don't, do you pay a penalty? You pay a penalty, Howie?
I think there are some strict rules when it comes to releasing this money, and I understand putting it in and planning for the future.
Because if Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
Or if they decide not to go.
Right.
Right?
That's a great point.
And then what happens? So then what happens with this money, and how are you able to access it?
You roll it into a Roth. That's my own point.
So you transfer that asset into a Roth, which you can't touch until you're 60.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So it's for now. Keep in mind, guys, all of these tax havens have what's called a sundown provision, or sunset provision, meaning that they all have to be re-voted on at some point. Now, typically they do, but nothing is guaranteed. They don't give anything in perpetuity. For example, though, I think you're pretty safe because, as I always use as an analogy, the federal excise tax, which was put in during World War I as a tax on rubber, is still every set of tires that you buy has excise tax on it. So, can I ask you about the power of compound interest? What about the power of gaining equity in the real estate market? Because there's only two paths to wealth in this country. You have to either own real estate or you have to own a business. By owning a share of stock, you own a business. I always thought a great model would be little Johnny or little Jane goes to college in year one, and you invest, if you can, money into a condominium, real estate in that area for them to live in. Let that real estate appreciate for 4 years, take the depreciation, or take the write-off of the interest expense, and multiply all that together, and you have somehow contributed to college where you're not paying 100%, unless the real estate market craps out, which rarely happens. Is that a strategy still, or is that a risky business?
We're both suggested gilded lily strategies today. If you have the money to buy a condo in their local area, if you have 90 grand to front load a 529, then these strategies work. I think your strategy is great in most. Unless
you bought real estate in Las Vegas in the mid '90s to send your kid to UNLV and the market fell out of it. So.
Exactly.
Howie, thank you, sir. We'll see you mañana, I think. There you go. So, are you regretful that you sent your 3,000-month-old to, or how many months is he?
252 months old.
252-month-old to college.
No, we came from a different situation because my grandfather set up an educational trust for all of his grandkids. What I didn't use out of that, because I went to an inexpensive school.
You went to Hawaii.
Exactly. I then put towards my son's college education. So we really weren't in that, oh my God, we need to save a ton of money, that type of thing. But we got financial aid and we got grants and things like that. Like you said, Sully, take it because it's there.
Totally.
So what does your gut tell you that you want to do, Mary, at this point? I mean,
aside from cry.
Or these cry.
No, but seriously.
What they're saying is if you make a penny over $100,000, you don't get any financial aid.
Pretty much.
That's what the latest word is.
Yeah.
I'm just starting this FAFSA form. I don't know, I'm starting the whole process. But we go back and forth every day. It really is, she has her heart set on about 3 or 4 different places based on what she wants to do.
None of them are feeder schools to as a junior college first, right?
Right, none are junior colleges as of now. 2 are public schools, 2 are private. So look, if she gets in, and then I'm going to work it out because that's her dream school, and we'll figure it out. But if not, I'm not going to just spend the money to send her anywhere.
You should also check into what the endowments are like at those schools.
What's an endowment? What does that mean?
People, the benefactors, the big
Oh, you
money
mean the weird little grants?
that just,
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of schools that they have to give money away because
Yes.
all these people want scholarships in their names.
Yes.
They are throwing money at people,
Yeah.
but no one applies for them.
Yeah,
It's there
we're
for the
starting
taking.
to, for sure.
I might start doing that. I might start doing that because I put all my money into a thing called Doctors Without Licenses now, and I don't. That's not getting me any.
Yeah.
I need to.
For a second, I was like, what?
I need.
How altruistic of you.
I need
Wait
to
a
put
second.
money into more of these things that are actually going to give me a feedback.
Doctors Without
College
Arms.
Import-Export Business Endowment.
Let's circle back in 6 months because I'll have a lot more knowledge by
Let's
then.
do it. Follow up.
Follow-up show.
All right, keep it right here. A lot more Big Biz coming your way after this. Big Biz Show for the Loft 100 Studios. Thanks for being along for this ride. Costa, Maribert Godwin, Greg Todorov, and of course Sully with you on another beautiful day talking business.
And the Day Trader Trio up there, of course, playing us in. We are brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advanced, better science, better results. Starbucks Coffee, little corner coffee place. Woman Brands and their 5 family of restaurants, including Outback Steakhouse, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bonefish Hope, Fleming's, and of course, Leroy Selman's Barbecue. Thank you, friends. Let's not forget our good friends at Taylor Guitars. They put the lore in Taylor.
Is that a Taylor over there? That's a Taylor over there, right?
Taylor over there?
I believe Brian is also playing a Taylor today.
Are you playing a Taylor guitar today, Brian? Look, oh, he has? Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. He brought it up with
Oh, look at that. That is a Koa wood Taylor guitar, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Wow.
Am I-
That's beautiful.
Oh, my goodness. Look at all.
Welcome to Show and Tell at the Big Biz.
James
good
will
stuff.
not be outdone.
My good friend Joe Rosa disrupted the real estate brokerage model in Florida back in 2011. Now they are a publicly traded company, and they are disrupting the real estate industry on a national level. It's interesting. I have a private equity friend. Private equity is like venture capital, but they come in a little bit later. They give you a bit of an exit, and they get out. Private equity companies don't even look at public companies. Yet I got an inquiry from a really solid private equity guy that says, hey, I want to hear the La Rosa story.
Wow.
So we thought we'd bring Joe on, and Joe's about to get busy. Buddy, good to see you, man. How are you?
Hey, doing well. How about you?
Good. Hey, can you, for the folks, since we're in more homes now and we're in more affiliates and such, can you go back just real quick and review real quick time? How did your company actually disrupt the real estate market or real estate model when in Florida back in 2011? And then let's move forward on how you're doing it now.
Yeah, back in 2011, obviously we were really starting to understand some of the trends that were taking place in the industry. And one of them was this idea of offering agents, 100% commission, where they basically would pay a monthly subscription, they'd pay a flat fee per transaction, and then they pay an annual rate. So almost kind of like a SaaS model. And we found a way to be able to introduce that in the state of Florida, but with value, right? With offering education, technology, support, the resources that typically an agent would need to grow their business, but typically we have to give up 30, 40% of their commission to be able to get that back in return. So we found a way to be able to do that at still offering 100%, and that allowed us to have explosive growth in the state of Florida and across the U.S. And now as a publicly traded company, we've now also introduced the idea of revenue share. So again, we're not inventing revenue share. There's a few other companies that have had great success by offering this, but we just found a way to disrupt it by really unchecking all the boxes, just developing a plan that was just designed for the agents. And the proof is in the numbers. We've had a phenomenal summer now going into the fall with new agents that we've been able to onboard because of this plan.
Joe La Rosa, founder, CEO, La Rosa Holdings Corporation with us. Joe, first off, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, how are you guys doing down in Florida? You're in Orlando, right?
We are, yes.
Are you guys okay?
Yeah, first of all, are you okay?
We should ask that screen.
Hey, never mind all that hurricane stuff. How's your business doing?
Yeah.
Are you underwater? Are you okay now?
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. We just got some serious tree damage, some minor wind damage. So after this interview, I'll be heading home to definitely do to clean up. So there's a lot of work to be done, but thankfully we're all okay.
Obviously, prayers for all of you guys down there. As far as the disrupting of the real estate market field like you are doing, are there copycats, or are you guys ticking off a lot of other people in the same field?
Well, I mean, of course, naturally, we always want to compliment all of our competitors, right? We want to identify what's worked for them, and then of course what hasn't worked for them, and then what hasn't worked, we want to find a way to be able to, find a way to overcome some of those shortcomings. And so that's why we really are excited about this new plan, our revenue share model that we feel is just a complete disruptor in the marketplace. And again, you're going to get other companies now that are going to see some of our success now moving forward. And I'm sure, of course, which is always a great compliment, they'll be looking to kind of copycat, in essence, what we have now brought to the market.
Hey, Joe, when you talk about plans for growth for the rest of 2024, I mean, here we are in the fourth quarter, believe it or not.
Right.
2 weeks from the holiday season. You start looking towards 2025. This changes everything with respect to the revenue share model and what some of the news that you put out. What changes do you expect to see in the market coming forward that kind of allows you guys to grow your base of real estate professionals? Because that's really what it comes down to in terms of revenue, right?
Yeah, no, listen. So, I learned rather quick that in the public markets, if you're going to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. So earlier on in the year, I put myself out there and I said, look, we're going to exit 24 with about $100 million in revenue for our run rate moving forward in 2025. And we'll be at 4,000 agents. So we are absolutely on track to not only hit those numbers, but probably surpass that. So that's going to allow us to be able to really get, I would call it, more street cred now in the market. And really, we're positioning ourselves now to be a true leader in the industry here in 2025. A lot of changes that have taken place so far this year now in the industry, and we expect more changes now to occur in 2025. And of course, listen, it's all based upon interest rates, mortgage interest rates. We've seen now that some of those interest rates have started to come down, and that's created a great demand now for real estate. So we expect 2025 to be a great year, and we just feel like we're well positioned now to be able to capture that.
Hey, Joe, there's a couple of areas of the country where supply and demand are still keeping real estate prices up, probably artificially, but you just mentioned about interest rates sort of making a demand. And they haven't even gone down much. Do you think we'll see the 3s and the 2s in the next couple of years, or you think 4s are more likely for a while and 5s, or what are you thinking in terms of national mortgage rates going forward?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see 3s and 2s anytime soon. I definitely feel that we'll be seeing 5s here very soon in 2025. I expect that probably we may even see another maybe half a point between now and the end of this year.
Yeah.
A lot of folks have been asking, well, why haven't the Fed's cut rates? Why haven't we seen a dramatic decrease? Well, I think that was already built in.
Yeah,
over
buy
the
on the
last,
rumor,
couple months.
they took it. It was already baked in, right?
Right.
Also, keep in mind, folks, that an interest rate cut from the Feds doesn't immediately affect mortgage rates because mortgage follows a long bond. So it definitely affects it, but just not today. What if you had an A paper loan right now? Let's say for a $100,000 mortgage, what's the average rate right now? Is it still 6% and such, or is it down to 5.5, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, you're just at that 6% mark. It depends on what kind of product you're looking to get into, and of course it just depends on the actual borrower, depending on credit score and everything else. I mean, we've seen some scenarios where there's different products now that are just a tad under 6%, but on average you're just about a little over 6%.
I was asking for Mike, who's using shipping containers to create his $100,000 mansion somewhere in the swamps.
Just weld them together.
Thank you, buddy. I'll be talking to you off the air because he's got some interest. But thanks. Joe LaRosa is his name. He is the founder and CEO of La Rosa Holdings Corporation. Are you anybody sniffing around refinancing? I'm sniffing around refinancing right now.
Are you?
Yeah, because it takes a while these days. They don't, back when you could fog up a mirror and get a loan right before the Great Correction.
Yeah.
Now it takes a little more.
My wonderful bride is a real estate appraiser. And so,
I need to talk to her.
Exactly. So
if there was a brand new Tesla in your driveway, how would that have? Here's the problem with the appraising. The real estate market got smart.
Yeah.
There's no more friends and family appraisals.
No.
It goes through a different funnel, doesn't it?
But obviously, as interest rates, ebb and flow and stuff like that. But you're starting to hear a lot more people. Yeah, I'm thinking about a refi. So here
coming up after the break, we're going to talk cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and blockchain and the fact that Mike has the same $60 in his pocket that he's had ever since I've known him.
In $2 bills.
Not because of...
Oh, nice.
That's luck. That's lucky.
Yeah.
In Susan B. Anthony coins.
Susan B. Oh, my God. Remember that?
Big Biz Show, BigBizShow.com. Thanks for joining us today. Got lots of stuff coming on. We got Alon Goren, our crypto and blockchain expert, coming up with us. Also, we got Steve Glover from Zyversa, Joe De La Rosa from Rosa Holdings Corporation. But first, who do we got? We got
the Sports Biz Minute, Sully.
Come on, let's take it.
Once again, brought to you by the fine people at PrizePicks, the largest daily fantasy platform out there. Sign up at PrizePicks.com. We'll start off in baseball. The 2024 Major League Baseball Wild Card Playoff Series, the most watched ever. All the games averaged 2.823 million viewers across ESPN's linear and digital platforms. The series high was over 4 million viewers for the Game 3 decider between the Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers, making it ESPN's most watched Major League Baseball game since 2021. Of course, we now know that these Mets have eliminated the Philadelphia Phillies.
And we know they weren't as good as the Phillies.
Yeah, but they're moving on.
God.
I know.
And do you know what the problem is now?
What?
People are hoping for a Yankees-Mets World Series. That's
Subway.
They're wanting for a Subway Series.
Absolutely.
How's the Freeway Series going?
The
Freeway
Padres
Series.
took one on the chin last night from the Dodgers from Los Angeles. Game 5 back up at Chavez Ravine tomorrow night for the winner. Of course, will move on and play.
What is your real prognostication? Don't be a homer. Be on your. Are you worried about the Padres?
Yeah, no, I'm worried about the Padres losing. I think the Dodgers are going to win games.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are going to win games.
You think Padres just walked into a buzzsaw?
Pretty much.
What do you think happened?
It was supposed to be a bullpen game for the Dodgers. Kudos to manager Dave Roberts. He played it perfectly. And of course, we saw what happened with the Padres starting.
I think the Padres got overconfident. I thought they thought, we're going to win at home, and then they just they dropped it like a tummy tuck on a plus size
on
model.
ice. Got to cool it a little longer. Finally, Sully, NHL news. The NHL has signed Norwegian Cruise Line to a multi-year sponsorship agreement in the U.S. Everybody gets to go to Norwegia now, making Norwegians first tie-up with a professional sports league and NHL's first with the cruise line. The deal begins tonight. Actually, the deal began last week when the league dropped the puck on its season in North America. Following 2 games in Prague between the Devils and Sabres over the weekend. That is your Sports Biz Minute, brought to you by PrizePicks, largest daily fantasy platform out there. Sign up at PrizePicks.com. Once again, here's Sully.
Thank you, buddy. This, putting Norwegian Airlines or Norwegian Cruise Line with NHL is like having a hockey team in Arizona State. Which, by the way, they do have, and it's a good hockey.
Of course they do.
I don't get Alon Goren, my good friend, came. I met him maybe 10 or 12 years ago when he was handling crowdsourcing. Remember crowdfunding?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he made a transition after putting together many great events into cryptocurrency, blockchain, and now he is a founding partner of Draper Goren Blockchain. And of course, they do deals in terms of venture type deals, early stage startups that are using blockchain technology. And sometimes they use cryptocurrency to fund those deals. I give you my good friend, Alon Goren. You need to get down to the studio finally, man. You need your own show, pal. How are you?
I love it. I know I got to come down there. We got to talk fantasy football. You guys can make fun of all my picks. It'll be awesome.
Hey, are you still doing crypto events? Is that on hold now? Or are you thinking about going back into that? Because that was really, really popular when we did those.
Yeah, I think we'll resurrect some again, and we'll definitely do some more events soon. Lately, I've been focused on making investments and participating because now is a great time. But I was in London last week for a friend of mine's event. It was called Digital Assets Week London, and it was incredible to see the institutions and the sort of buttoned up London finance crowd taking over the space out there.
When do you think? Alon, people ask me all the time, they ask you too, when do we go full crypto? Well, we're already digital currency anyway. I have the same $40 in my wallet than I did when I talked to you last year. We're not using, unless you're tipping a valet or tipping a waiter, I don't see you pulling cash out much. It's really the same thing, except for the fact that it's also got investment tied to it, where people, unless you're you're dealing with commodities or with currency exchanges. We're not really trading currency as an investment, but in crypto you are doing both. You're trading currency as investment and you're using it as capital and using it as investing. Talk about when the on-ramp's complete. Are we 10 years away? Are we 5 years away? Are we 2 years away? Because it's getting closer and closer. I think part of it is adoption and people understanding it, correct?
I think it's adoption and understanding, but it's also, there's only one group that's slower than banks and financial institutions, and that's government, right?
Yeah, right.
So we're dealing with one of the slowest industries in the world to adopt technology. But, talking about being in London last week at Digital Assets Week, we're realizing that to us, right, our bank accounts are digital, and there's a spectrum of what digital means, right? Like when I met you 12 years ago and I was raising money for my crowdfunding startup, I, for the first time, was getting those docs signed by investors in things like DocuSign. I think it was a different app back then, but whatever. It was a digital signature. And that to me felt digital. Today, I don't consider that investment a digital investment, but there are different degrees of what that means, right? Like, are the shares actually digital? If I made money, would it be distributed to the shareholders? And what I saw in London was institutions like JP Morgan, Fidelity, Barclays, all actually using this technology for products that they're selling to their customers. And it might not be Bitcoin specifically or Ethereum or something like that, or Dogecoin, right? But it's actually using this technology to make their products better, give them higher margins and things like that. So we're starting to use it without even realizing we're using it as consumers. And I think that's the holy grail for the industry.
Alon Goren, founding partner of Draper Goren Blockchain, with us here on the Big Biz Show. Alon, I asked my dad if he wants to buy Bitcoin, and his answer is, well, how many coins do I get in return when I buy it? Are you seeing, though, that the adoption rate, people getting involved, is greater as that group of investors gets younger?
I think definitely on the, Bitcoin side, there was something that at this point is probably a year old or maybe even older, where a bunch of, I forgot if it was like a news network or something, did a survey and went and actually interviewed a bunch of folks. And they asked younger people, they asked older and younger and people in between, would you rather get paid $10,000 in cash, US dollars, into your bank account right now, or $10,000 in Bitcoin? And the lower the age group, the bigger the percentage of people chose Bitcoin.
Sure.
But once you got to about 30 years old and younger, more people were asking for Bitcoin than US dollar.
Alon, actually, that brings up a good point. Earlier in the show, we were talking about 529s and paying for college. I have 2 teenage daughters, and I'm trying to figure out how we're going to afford it all. But so you're seeing younger generation getting into this, and is there more training out there and more education and more, like you're saying, a thirst for it with these younger generations? And can it help pay for their college?
Yeah, I mean, from your mouth to God's ears, I hope number goes up and we're all happy and we can pay for our kids' college with it. But, for the younger generation, even for us, right, it's become totally normal to use things like Venmo and Cash App and things like that to split bills or to pay your friend back for something. And people, like Sully said, aren't using cash anymore. And all of those apps have the option for Bitcoin. And I think a lot of people are going, hey, let's just get a few dollars worth, set it aside. But once they get some, they start paying attention and they start seeing, this thing that's pretty volatile, right? Like, moving 3, 5, 10% for Bitcoin is not abnormal. In the traditional markets, if your portfolio or a stock you own moves that much in a day, you're losing your mind or you're very excited. With Bitcoin, that's pretty normal. And I think younger people are getting used to seeing that. It's exciting and it's also very risky in that respect. But I think people are getting small amounts, learning, and then growing their positions over time. And I think that if Bitcoin does what we hope it will do over the next few years and what some people are predicting it will do, those 1% to 5% of people's portfolio that groups like Fidelity and big institutions are telling people they should have are going to grow into 10%, 15, 25% just by sheer growth of the value over time. And I think then we will have that opportunity. It'll be interesting to see, this last year with those Bitcoin ETFs launching, those financial institutions generated more revenue than they ever have in the history of ETFs, right? Like in terms of a new ETF generating money for them. So I think they're looking for what's next. They're going to give us more opportunities, and we'll see. It's exciting, and I think the whole market's going to shift over the next few months because of just politics and everything else going on in the world. Will there be more inflation? Will they get it under control? Whatever happens, I think it's going to create excitement.
Alon, it seems as though adoption is on the way. It concerns me a little bit that 30-year-olds, which I consider the young part, are maybe not saying they'd rather have that money in crypto, but I want to keep ahead of it. I'd love to have you come in here and do a whole hour with you, buddy. Good to talk to you again. Alon Goren is his name. Draper Goren Blockchain, a founding partner, and of course. You should go follow him on Twitter or it's anonymous.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. And of course, is there anybody you've ever seen that looks more like he's in Silicon Valley?
Yeah. Sitting in a Starbucks.
So fired up though, about the subject.
But he has the whole time, which is why I love him. I want him on every week.
Great.
Countries, all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. To our brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, as always, we thank you for what you do, what you have done for us. Right here on the Big Biz Show, the Loft 100 Studios, Costa, Marybert Godwin. Our executive producer is Greg Todorov, and that guy right there behind the bar is Sully.
Hey, Steve Glover is with us. He's got 40 years of business experience in biopharmaceuticals. He, of course, is the chairman and CEO of Zyversa Therapeutics. They are publicly traded on the stock symbol ZVSA, and of course, he is also in the state of Florida, and we're happy to say that Steve is alive, well, and hopefully mostly dry. There, but what has that been like this year? I know you're on the other coast, but still, that's got to affect everything that's going on over there.
Well, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. You kind of dodging the hurricanes and the wind, and you end up with tornadoes. Let's just say it's an exciting time to live in Florida. That's one way to put it, buddy. It's an exciting time.
Hey, let me ask you. You had a really, really great press release that came out earlier in the week that we talked about. I want you to say it for the folks that didn't hear it. Walk us through exactly what's gone on because there's so much around this, and the good side is that you guys are at the right place at the right time once again.
So it's good to see everyone. It's been since the summer. There's a lot going on in this whole obesity inflammation market, and we were fortunate enough to work with a really renowned group of people over the summer trying to figure out how to move forward into this area. And we were proud to announce that they not only agreed to work with us over the summer, but joined our scientific advisory board. These are a host of people from the likes of Harvard and WashU and actually UC San Diego with Dr. Olevsky. Just people that have been studying this issue for most of their careers. They're practicing physicians as well as researchers, and their feedback has been immeasurable to us to move forward into our next stage of our development of our product, IC100.
I think what's interesting here is when you talk about the market that you're in, how much has it exploded? Literally in the last, and I think we know why. Talk about that a little bit.
Just yesterday, actually, Medicare came out with a projection that Medicare expenditures for obesity-related products alone will be $35 billion in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's an amazing number when you think about it. 50% of the worldwide population is obese and has inflammatory conditions. And the market trend here has been really interesting. Everyone knows that you can see an advertisement for Wegovy, which is an incretin, and you can get access to that, but right now you're paying mostly cash for that. But the trend here is towards combination therapies. And these combination therapies are not only treating the obesity, where you're getting, a loss of fat, 50, 60% fat loss, but the trend now is to add a product that prohibits excessive muscle loss. that's one of the issues within the treatment paradigm right now. And that combination trend has led to several IPOs over the last 90 days, and has led to the next step, which is combination therapy with an inflammasome inhibitor added to that regimen. In fact, Sanofi and Ventex just announced last week a $27 million investment from Sanofi to do phase 2 to add their inflammasome inhibitor to those regimens. So just a really explosion here in a $100 billion plus global market.
Steve Glover is the chairman CEO of Zyversa Therapeutics, their ticker symbol, ZVSA. Steve, with that unprecedented level of weight loss and the, achieved with the therapy and things like that, developments with the drugs, do you anticipate that the investment in the category will go down?
It's actually, I thought so initially because of, investors' interest might, soften a little bit. It's actually been the opposite. We just saw a report that there's been a 10-fold increase in venture capital into the area. IPOs are beginning to take place, and investment dollars are flowing very rapidly here. And the reason is that next step I talked about around combination therapies to go after these comorbidities. So as someone who's obese, they're actually not only obviously suffering from the weight problems, but you're seeing cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, these comorbidities of which we're looking to treat, explode in their funding areas. So people are looking to fund into these areas to look at those comorbidities. They think inflammasome inhibitors like ours are a real key to that. And so it's just a really explosive area right now.
That's like the BioAge deal, right? I mean, they got $170 million for that. I forget the name of the drug, but I mean, it's to your point. Their lead candidate is intended to be used in combination with those. I think it's called incretins to prevent weight gain. I mean, that proves your point.
I just wanted to ask a quick clarification that with these people that may be using Wegovy or whatever these weight loss drugs are, they may be getting skinnier, but there's still the chance that there's inflammation because they're related, but you could still be skinnier people can still suffer from inflammation.
Yeah, you can be skinny fat because you don't have muscle, and now you're less fat, but now you're subject to the inflammation.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's a great question because really, if you think about it, when someone is obese, they have cardiovascular problems, they have hypertension, they have maybe type 2 diabetes. Actually, you're seeing things around Parkinson's increasing in obesity. And just because you're losing the weight, you have not modified your underlying disease that I just talked about. And those diseases are driven by inflammation, and that inflammation doesn't go away even though you're getting thinner. As a matter of fact, the fat tissue, what's called adipose tissue, as you lose weight, actually releases inflammasomes. It releases and modifies the inflammation to even become more pervasive. And as a result of that, you need to treat this inflammation as well.
Well, and Steve, the moral of that story for plain speaking non-medical folk is that Zyversa's inflammasome inhibitor fits perfectly into this whole space. Yeah.
That's exactly the point. I mean, you're looking at this and you say, well, I want to make this patient healthy. I need to treat the inflammation. And that's where our product IC100, which is a monoclonal antibody or biologic, really fits into the treatment regimen. So we're very excited by the progress here.
Steve Glover, Chairman, CEO, Zyversa Therapeutics, ticker symbol ZVSA. He's going to help me with my BMI. It came back canned ham the last time. I once saw the doctor. Steve, always great to visit with you. Much more. Big Biz Show. Keep it right here.